Hello music fans, I recently posted my top 50 albums of 2022 video, and I mentioned that I was probably going to do top 10s of various genres, so today I'm doing my top 10 Metalcore slash Deathcore slash Mathcore albums of 2022, and 4 of these albums made my top 50, but the other 6 are also really great, so I thought they really needed to be mentioned, even though they didn't quite crack my top 50 overall, because I listen to a lot of genres. They do crack my top 10 metalcore, deathcore, mathcore list. So let's start off with my number 10 core album, which is Novelists with Déjà Vu. And this is metalcore with some progressive and gent influences. They're a French band, really great guitar playing here. They have poppy hooks and modern production, powerful vocals with clean singing and screaming. If you're a fan of a band like Northlane, you'll probably like this. At number 9, I have Lorna Shore with Pain Remains. This is deathcore. It's their 4th album. Will Ramos is one of the most intense, harsh vocalists of this decade. He has a lot of range in his higher shrieks, low gutturals, pig squeals, and other general animal and monster noises that come out of his mouth. There's some great symphonic elements on here, some epic deathcore breakdowns with some slow down parts, and there are also some pretty cool and technical guitar parts. At number 7, I have Norma Jean, Deathrattle, Sing For Me. This is metalcore with some mathcore and post-hardcore influences. It's just an excellent release, and it's great to hear like interesting composition and production in the metalcore genre. And to hear a band doing this style they don't rely on low tuning guitars and gent sounds anymore, so it's kind of more of the early 2000s sound. If you're a fan of bands like Every Time I Die and Underoath, you'll like this. Number 6, I've got The Offering with Seeing the Elephant. And this is fairly progressive metalcore with a bit of that gent sound, some deathcore influences, but also some heavy metal and power metal influences in there too. This is their 2nd album. It sounds really epic, well written and performed. Good vocal delivery, great guitar solos, definitely some wild shredding on here. The guitar riffs are typically genty, but they also do some high-pitched squealing, guitar dive bombs and stuff like that. My favorite track on this album is the album closer, Esther Weeps. At number 6, I've got The Gloom in the Corner with their album Trinity. This is more progressive metalcore slash gent with deathcore influences. This is their 2nd album as well, and they're a really catchy metalcore band with those low-tuned, genty guitars. The vocals are impressive, great singing, great screaming. One song on this album features Lauren Babick from Red Handed Denial, and her vocals are always great. I was very pleasantly surprised by the whole album. I think it's a concept album, though I didn't follow the full story, but it felt like it had some kind of narrative. It also has some of the coolest heavy breakdowns and riffs, as well as amazing melodies and a couple softer songs too. There were even some vocal deliveries that had moments that bordered on hip-hop, and there's some progressive stuff on here like atypical song structures and time signature changes. It's kind of right on the border of metalcore and prog metal. I'm trying not to include stuff that I would push over the edge to prog metal in this top 10, because I'm going to have another top 10 video for prog metal specifically, but these are more on the core side. But like sprinkles of prog in there. At number 5, I've got the Callous Daoboys with their album Celebrity Therapist. This is mathcore for fans of the Dillinger Escape Plan, Psyopus, Number 12, Looks Like You, those kind of bands. A lot of brutal chaos here, but also some fun, cool melodic sections. Number 4, now we're getting into the top 4, which are in my top 50 albums of the year overall. And we've got Monuments with In Stasis. This is progressive metalcore with that gent sound. To me, I think it's their best album yet. They're a really solid band. The only criticism I have is that they don't stand out enough from the other bands in this scene. If they can find more of their own identity, they could be one of the best in the scene. I love the vocalist on this album. It's the guy who did the vocals on the Termina album called Dysphoria that I liked a lot in 2021. Number 3, I have Red Handed Denial with I'd Rather Be Asleep. Again, progressive metalcore with that gent sound, but this has some post-hardcore influences too. It's their third album. Great vocals from Lauren Babick as usual. She can sing beautifully and powerfully, also scream like a beast. Musicianship of the instrumentalist is top notch. If you're a fan of Periphery, Protest the Hero, and Tesseract, and you want to hear a band that sounds like those bands meeting Paramore with some poppy hooks, this is the band for you. Number 2, I've got Underoath with Voyeurist. It's metalcore with post-hardcore and alternative rock influences, and even some post-metal in there too. It's their 9th album, and it's a solid return to form after Erase Me, which was a bit of a dip in quality in my opinion. This has great variety, starts with really hardcore heavy opener Damn Excuses, has some tracks with pop-inspired hooks, but some with a more classic metalcore sound, with a bit of post-hardcore and emo vibes from time to time. My favorite track is Pneumonia, which is kind of post-metal and atmospheric and ambient. And my number 1 core album of 2022 is Rolo Tomassi with Where Myth Becomes Memory. And this is mathcore with some prog rock and experimental and post-hardcore influences in there. It's their 6th album. They've got the female vocals as well. Eva, who can sing angelically and scream intensely. Both extremes are present on this album. Some parts sound so soft like synth pop and indie rock. Some parts sound like post-rock shoegaze, but then other parts are the most spastic, frantic, and chaotic extreme mathcore sounds with intense screams. So it's really got a lot of ups and downs in terms of the intensity and brutality and peaceful beauty to it. And hope you enjoyed this list. If you're a fan of these genres, metalcore, deathcore, and mathcore, hope you found something here to check out, and I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you have other suggestions in these genres of what you think are some of the best releases from 2022, and I'll have to check them out. Until next time, I'll probably be making, next video might be my top 10 punk rock albums of 2022, or maybe I'll do my death metal or my black metal or prog metal or prog rock. I plan to do a top 10 for various genres, so stay tuned for those. Peace out.